And so, could you tell me then, from your organization's perspective, are you suggesting that HUD is in violation of the law, the federal law that you just cited?
Well, we think if it's not in violation, it's awfully close to being in violation. It's kind of tiptoeing, tap dancing around the edges of the law. The 1960s, that was the height of the construction of the federal freeway system and highway system, and the height of urban renewal in this country. And what was happening was there were absolutely no protections when these federal projects, like big federal highway projects came along, or other big urban renewal projects came along. There was absolutely no way that if you were in the inner city and you wanted to say, well, how can I argue, or what leverage do I have to stop this big project, or at least to get somebody to consider doing something different? There was absolutely no recourse you had.
We left 3 days after Katrina. I left 3 days, and I had like 30 other tenants left, and 20 stayed because we still had running water, gas, because the New Orleans police went across the river. Gretna became martial law, so Gretna, by us being over the river, the public housing is like a half a mile from Gretna. Gretna took over us, and they had told us that we had to leave. Housing Authority did not tell us we had to leave. Gretna police told us we had to leave.
Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act says, what I had said earlier, says that you have to take, the federal agency, if they have a project, has to take into consideration what its effects on historic properties or historic districts might be.
And see, what it seems to me is that Hurricane Katrina was viewed as an opportunity to redraw the map of New Orleans in terms of who lived here and who didn't. Because you look at public housing, it was the housing that withstood the hurricane the best. I've been over to Lafitte. People showed me their apartments up on the second floor, no hurricane damage, and not that much on the first floor. The same at St. Bernard. Cooper, there was a little bit more water, you know, but that's the housing that withstood the hurricane the best. In fact, people go to public housing when the hurricane hits. People who got a house go over to public housing because they know their house might get messed up, might get blown down.
At least they were safe.
But they know the projects ain't. You know, so that's the housing that you know can withstand the hurricane, and they want to take that down. Why is that? Because they want to make it impossible for the people who used to live there to come back.
The utilities in this city jumped 300%. Not only can we not afford it, but the people in the private sector can't even afford it anymore. And nobody has really addressed that. How do you justify tearing down livable units when you got 12,000 people sleeping underneath the bridge?
Right now, I'm busting bones and doing this and doing that to get my house together. I don't have nothing. They had keys to the rest of these projects. But when you get to the CJP, you don't have a key to go in, to put the keys in the door, to put the refrigerators out. The detective was out there. They wrote down numbers. The police came, but they got mad, gonna tell me I can't stay there. But yet, everybody in the neighborhood will go in your house and steal what they want. They clean me out from upstairs to downstairs, just like everybody else around there.
And if they package us, you know, like the Indians and the second line, all that, you see that at the airport, you see that all the way, but yet and still we the people that they don't want here.
Today they made a statement that tomorrow that we are allocating about 12 million or more to the city. For what? To sway their votes? Now ain't that kind of strange to get it all of a sudden, like tomorrow?
Of course.
Even a small portion of the existing developments and rehabilitate them for housing. There was never any, it was all predicated on total demolition, wiping the slate clean, you know, and starting all over. And which we think from a preservation standpoint is ridiculous, from a recycling and sustainability standpoint is really crazy, and nobody has been able to answer the question, where's all this material going to go when the demolition starts? They can't answer that question.
It's not an accident that they're getting rid of public housing, destroying 4,500 affordable units, and only promising to build less than 800 affordable units. Where are those other 3,700 families supposed to go?
They couldn't find no damage to the 3 remaining buildings, and it was 3 remaining 4-bedroom buildings. So In the process of all the other public housing over here closed, Fisher was the only one, oh, and the senior village, where 100 units, we was the only public housing was still open.
But they're not even considering that. Alphonse Jackson has made very clear these public housing developments have to go. He says they have concentrated poverty and crime. Well, here's one thing, the projects have been closed for 2 years. Has crime dropped in New Orleans? It has intensified.
You don't know, you never lived in public housing, so how can you low rate public housing? Everybody up in there is not for the same thing. Everybody, majority of people I know get up and go to work. When night falls, I go inside. I don't sit out here and entertain unless I want to sit out there and do what I want to do. So I don't know where they come on live in public housing. This like Alphonse with his mess, drug this, drug that. There's drugs everywhere. There's crime every day, somebody getting killed. He forgot where he lived at, in D.C., where all the crime is going on?
I think the idea is they're supposed to leave town. But here's what makes it even worse. They're doing this at a time when people are being evicted from FEMA trailers. I've talked to a person who got evicted, and FEMA put him up in a hotel for a month, they told him. At the end of the week, they said, oh, we made a mistake, you got to get up out of here. He's now living on somebody's couch, and there are thousands of people being kicked out of those trailers. Where are they supposed to go? What about the fact that homelessness has more than doubled in New Orleans since Katrina? So you're facing a situation where there is a dire need for affordable housing.
Clarify something I think you said earlier. You said that it was the police department from the different city of Gretna, Louisiana, that crossed jurisdictional boundaries into Algiers, which is in New Orleans.
Because the New Orleans police had to come over here, where the masses, because we did not know how bad it was over here, because we didn't have no water, no flooding or anything. And Ms. Wiggins wouldn't have been calling me. I wouldn't have known. We did not know, because all power was out. The only thing we could hear on the radio, and it was making it sound so bad. But we crossed the river, we still walking the streets and everything, until that was what that Tuesday, when people started trying to get across the bridge. That's when Wiggins was telling me, then I said, girl, we cooking and doing everything like we normally do and stuff, because nothing happened over on the West Bank.
I think that the motivation behind destroying these projects is foul and sinister. I think it is a part of driving black people out. Now let's just look at this another way. You need this housing and you have these buildings. Some of them are actually state-of-the-art and being used as a model for building new public housing in different parts of the country. Some of them maybe shouldn't be around forever, but could be made serviceable right now.
My thing is let's deal with the real issues in this damn city and stop playing games with folk that live here. Because the truth of the matter is most of us really know what's going on. Yeah, they hide in our communities, but they hide in your community too. So while you want to perpetrate a fraud that all of the criminals live in public housing, the truth of the matter is they do their business in public housing. They live in their neighborhoods.
We should remember when Katrina hit, Richard Anderson, Republican congressman in Louisiana and Bush ally, said, and this is almost a quote because I don't remember his exact words, but he told a grouping of lobbyists, we've been trying to get rid of public housing for years. We couldn't do it, but God did it for us with this hurricane. So obviously, public housing was not the cause of crime, something else was. And as far as the question of concentrating poverty, part of the problem that you run into is the lack of employment in these urban areas, as many of the manufacturing opportunities are being shipped out of the country. That is not something caused by public housing. The people in public housing did not send their jobs to Thailand or Mexico or anywhere like that. That's the way this system operates. That's what we're dealing with here. And I know for a fact, because I've been among the homeless people in Duncan Plaza, a lot of them have construction experience. You could actually hire some people, you could even bring back some people who used to live here to rehabilitate that housing. You could house thousands of families in the very near term, and then if you really think that you can do better, you could in a phased way take down the housing that isn't playing such a good role and build new housing.
And so let me ask you then, why do you think this movement is taking place?
I don't know, they're moving mighty fast. That's so they can hurry up and do what they got. Nobody taking place, because President Bush finna get his no good self out of office. All them that working with him trying to do what they got to do before he get out of office. That's why it's doing it so fast.
And you think it's like
It's a race thing.
It's a race thing.
That's right.